Hey everybody, my name's Ryan, and here at eTrailer we install, test fit, and review a lot of different parts. That way we can try to answer any questions those of you might have. And that's exactly what we're doing today on our 2020 Honda Passport. We're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the CURT Class III trailer hitch receiver. So these Passports are really versatile SUVs, and people use them to do a little bit of everything. So if it were me, I would want a hitch that would be able to handle just about anything you want to throw at it. And that's exactly what this one's going to be able to do. So whether you plan on doing some towing or use accessories or maybe even a little bit of both, this one's going to cover all the bases. So one of the really big questions we get asked in regards to the Passport is if the hitch is going to interfere with your hands-free liftgate assist. Now, in our case, our vehicle today does not come equipped with that feature, but with my experience in the past on other vehicles, 9 times out of 10, that feature still works. A lot of times though, what you'll have to do is just kind of go either to one side or the other of the hitch and kind of find that sweet spot. But once you do, you shouldn't have any issues with your liftgate opening up. One thing I do really like about the hitch is the way it's going to look. Really, the only thing you're going to be able to see is a receiver tube opening, and it really puts off a factory type option, at least in my opinion. And what's really nice is too, you're not going to have to do anything crazy to have this clean look. You're not going to have to trim your fascia or remove your bumper, anything like that. So it's a win-win in that situation. But other than that, with that being said, this is a Class 3 hitch. So it's going to give us that 2-inch by 2-inch receiver tube opening. It's a really common size, and a ton of different accessories should work out with it. You have a reinforced collar for extra strength. It's going to have that standard 5/8 pinhole. Keep in mind, a pin and clip does not come included, but if you need one, you can find it right here at eTrailer. You're going to have loop style safety chain openings, which aren't huge, but they should give us more than enough space to use just about any size hook that we might have. The hitch is also going to have some pretty high weight capacities actually. As far as the maximum gross tongue weight rating goes, it's going to be 750 pounds. That's going to be the amount of weight that's pushing down on the hitch. So pretty high number, shouldn't have any issues using pretty much any size bike rack or cargo carrier that you'd want to, for example. As far as the maximum gross trailer weight rating goes, it's going to be 5,000 pounds. That's going to be the amount of weight that's pulling on the hitch. So it is the weight of your trailer plus anything that you might have on it. This can be used with a weight distribution system, which is a separate component, and whenever you use that, it's going to level out your trailer with your Passport. And the maximum gross trailer weight rating does increase to 6,000 pounds whenever you're using weight distribution. However, the maximum gross tongue weight rating does remain the same at 750. Now, I do always like to suggest, never a bad idea, just to grab your Passport's owner's manual. That way you can make sure your Honda can pull that much weight safely. And if you do plan on doing some towing, I would suggest picking up some trailer wiring. That way the lights on your trailer will match up with the lights on your Honda, and you'll be safe and legal. I will say too, if you do plan on using some folding accessories, I think this should work out pretty well. And the reason being is it's going to give us some pretty good clearance. So the end of the receiver tube opening is going to be just about flush with our back bumper. So that should give us enough space to be able to fold them upright and not have to worry about them coming in contact with our bumper. Now let's go ahead and take a couple of measurements. That way we can find out which hitch mounted accessories will work best. If you go from the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening, that's going to be right at 16 inches. So if you're going to do some towing, chances are pretty good you need to get a ball mount with a very slight rise. If we go from the center of the hitch pin hole to the very edge of our bumper, that's going to be right at 4 inches. And you can use that measurement to help figure out exactly if those folding accessories can indeed be stored in that upright position without hitting the back of your Honda. So at the end of the day, a hitch you really can't go wrong with. Not only is it going to look good, but you're going to be able to use it to do pretty much anything. And as a bonus, it's super easy to install. It more or less just bolts right up to the frame rails, and that's really about it. So it shouldn't really give you any issues or take you a whole lot of time. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and put it on together now. To begin our installation, we're going to be working underneath the back of our Passport, and we're going to come up to the frame rails, which will be located kind of just above our tailpipes. So here in our frame rail, we can go over the attachment points that's going to hold our hitch in place. And from this point on, anything we do to this side, we're also going to do to the other side because it's set up the exact same way. With that being said, we're going to have 3 attachment points. So we're going to have one here, here, and here. So these are just factory weld nuts inside of the frame. What I do suggest doing is spraying them down with some lubricant, getting a toothbrush, and just kind of cleaning any dirt or debris out of those threads that may be inside. Once you have that done, now we can kind of go over the hardware that we're going to use to secure the hitch. It's all going to be the same. I'm just going to take one of these hex bolts and a conical tooth washer. Make sure the teeth on the washer are going to face up towards the hitch. So once we have our hitch held up here, we're going to take these bolts and simply thread them into the weld nuts. Now with an extra set of hands, we can take our hitch and raise it into position. Line up the holes in the hitch with our attachment points. And then what we want to do is get at least one bolt started on each side, hand tight. That way the hitch will support itself while we work on the rest of the hardware. Now that we have all of our hardware in place and hand tight, we can come back in with a socket and snug everything down. Once we have everything snug, we can come back with a torque wrench and tighten all of our hardware down to the amount specified in the instructions. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the CURT Class III trailer hitch receiver on our 2020 Honda Passport.